Exile.
Record. Welcome, Wreckers Wanderers. It's Robert again, and we are in the Mastermind's lair. Who is, of course, who else would it be? Who raises the dead? It's Katarina. And yeah, I haven't progressed too much from my last video, so the character is now level 86, and I thought I'd give it a spin. I still don't have the Überlap, so I'm still a little bit underpowered. I'm still on a 5 link. My gear is pretty garbage, so I didn't really think I could make this through, but I thought I'd give it a try, and might also be able to explain some things. So this first phase here is basically just you learn how Katarina's basic attacks work, pretty much evade everything that is green, and you bring her down to like a third to 2/3 of her health, and then she will hold a little speech and disappear. And I knew this is a phased fight, so I didn't give this much thought. What I didn't know is that this really was just to learn about her basic abilities, and that in the next phases she's gonna get a lot more phases. Then there's this little piece here where you wander through an extended unearthed hideout, which is kind of neat because, I mean, we've all seen this hideout. We've all, not all, but some of us have had this hideout at some point. And yeah, just run through, you gain your flask charges back, you gain your Vaal souls back. Actually, my advice, if you feel a little bit squishy, try to not kill everything, because if you die, you can use a lot of those monsters to recharge your Vaal souls once you enter the zone. So I didn't know that. I also didn't know what else would come after that part, so I just killed everything in my wake. By the way, have I mentioned how OP Winter Orb is? How mechanically superior it is, because it basically just combines traps and arc and everything, and it's just amazing. But that will be a different video. So this is the next phase of the fight, where we can see that the 4 safe house captains basically are hibernating more or less, because they are being resurrected, and Katarina is going ham at us. And the basic idea is to avoid everything that she throws at you that is green, and she will transition into this phase where she resurrects or activates one of her safe house captains, which dies pretty quickly. And then there comes a phase that was very confusing to me for a very long time, actually for the majority of the fight, especially since I'm getting notifications of challenge failures, which is kind of weird. I think this is a bug that's currently there, that you get notified like instantly before the fight is even over. So yeah, but the thing is, the totem pole in the middle activates, and this is where the fight gets dangerous, because the totem will charge up, flame, and then send out a wave, and the wave is super deadly, while Katarina gains new abilities. So she's using all her abilities that she was using before, plus a couple of new ones where she casts that circle, and then just like Tora, if you step into it, it explodes shortly afterwards, but if you step into it, it explodes immediately. I haven't figured out if the flames that come from the totem deal damage while it's charging up. I don't think so. But the main thing is that Katarina herself, at some point, at about like 80% of her health, doesn't take any damage anymore, which I didn't seem to notice for a very long time. And eventually I ran out of flask charges and I died. And that is actually the next recommendation, since it is a kind of long fight, to use the Pantheon that gives you flask charges if you haven't used a health flask for quite some time. This makes the fight a little bit easier if you can't down it like immediately. And then yeah, the portal, I mean, you can use portal scrolls, so I also recommend to place the portal in front of the final boss room there. But yeah, she becomes invulnerable, and what you actually need to do is let me just skip forward a little bit, because we don't need to see me running through that thing. What you basically need to do is find the one totem that is active. It's this one actually at the top, I think, and there it was. There's this green stuff that the totem emits. There it is. So it connects to your character, and you need to have that connected for some time. And I see that the totem was doing something, but I actually thought it was a degen, but it's quite the opposite. The totem will actually heal you very slowly. Also, it might have been my own region, I'm not so sure. But anyway, as soon as you have this weird, strange green stuff around you, you're pretty much supposed to get into the green circle. You also see that the totem area has these green glowing things around it, which it didn't have before, and that's the sign for you to move in. Which I still haven't noticed. I die again, and I'm still trying to figure out how the fight actually functions. I haven't yet figured out that I need to step into the totem. Which is also, again, it's so good that I have an ability like Winter Orb, which targets automatically, so I can focus on the environment, which is the most important thing in this fight. I think now I realize it, so I stay next to the thing. No, I don't. Maybe... I think now I realize it, because I'm standing next to this and it doesn't do anything. I try to destroy it, but nothing happens. And eventually I realize, hey, wait a minute. 3 of them don't glow. 1 of them does glow. There's some weird stuff around it. Let's stand next to it for a while. Eventually it will explode if you stand next to it long enough, which I'm doing now. Then the healing area turns into a degen area, and it will stay a degen area for the remainder of the fight. So the arena actually does get smaller. Then Katarina can be damaged again. She does a few of her super abilities, and she will, after you damage her enough, spawn the next of her minions. So while the entire thing was going on, she basically didn't use any other abilities than her sweep and the totem. And once she goes into the next phase, she spawns ads again. She uses all her abilities, and the totem is inactive. She spawns the next soldier, then the next pillar activates, and the stuff starts from the beginning. The thing is, before the pillar turns into the regen thing, you see it is not, there's no boundary around it. It's just a green pillar. It doesn't do anything. So you actually have to deal damage to Katarina again to push her through the next phase. Now the totem activates. She's using her basic attacks plus another one, which is this Scourge Arrow-like thing that deals a truck ton of damage. And you just have to keep damaging. You can hide behind the pillar, but then you don't know what the totem does. Actually, it's probably better to stay close to the totem and just run in circles to not get hit by the waves. I played it really dumb because I didn't know what I was doing. I was nervous, and I think I was trying to see when the totem gets activated. I didn't know that it's when it's doing it. It's basically when it's doing this wave. So when Katarina does the huge wave, you know that the next totem will activate. I think it's happening again. Wait for it. Now. This is the sign. Now you stand next to it. You see that my health is like at the top. The thing crashes. Now it turns into a degen area. Now we have 2 degen areas, and Katarina goes Super Saiyan. She's dealing a ton of damage with all her abilities. You have to pretty much stay out of everything that looks greenish until you push her through to spawn the next captain, leader, or whatever. The captains actually die really fast. That was a little bit of my concern, that they are super crazy dangerous, but they aren't. Maybe that's also because the captains that I had in there weren't super high level. I had like 1 or 2 3 stars, and the other 2s were just 1 stars. So maybe, and that's the thing that needs some testing, maybe the fight gets even more difficult if you have higher level people in there that protect her. And then I would also imagine that the rewards go up quite significantly. Yeah, so now I figured out that I need to do the totem activation thing, and that I also need to damage her, but I was too afraid to go into the middle because the totem thing is just insane. And my flask charges weren't coming back fast enough, so I probably should have just popped my Val Blade Vortex there, because it would have pushed her through. Instead, I'm doing this hide and seek thing, and I'm exactly going out of the corner when the thing hits, so my timing was insanely poor there. I think I have 3 portals left now, yeah, and I thought I can like complete the fight from here on out. But the thing is, every time you push her through a phase, she also gets an extra ability, which makes, and the arena is getting smaller, which makes the fight less and less manageable. So having a character that is very good at bossing, but also has quite some range, is probably beneficial, because her sweep one-shots you. Her Scourge Arrow thing one-shots her. I think the only thing that does not one-shot is the poison ring that she does. There's the wave again, so now the totem is activated. I stood into her Scourge Arrow, so I died there, but also the totem died. So no big deal. I'm so glad I don't play hardcore, because I am a bad player. My reaction times are not the best, but whatever. Also, I have pretty crappy items on this character. This was a weird thing, because I have dodged this attack many times. Let's play this again, because I don't really know what happened here. I thought it's like this skull barrage that targets an arrow. So she teleports, she disappears here, she will appear here again, and then she's gonna do a barrage of those skulls, and the barrage is going this way. I think since I tried to duck behind the totem that it shotguns, and I got area overlapped right at the thing, but I'm not sure. And there it comes, and I just get insta-gipped. Because I wanted to avoid this, because this was a huge green skull, but the other thing eventually killed me. And then there's the final portal. There's still one pillar left, so at this point I was a little bit desperate that I couldn't complete it, although I finally managed to understand what the fight is actually about and how the mechanics work. So I just popped Blade Vortex, because I thought, okay, let's push her through. And then the last captain to fight was actually a 3-star Tora, and she was a lot more tanky than the other ones were, but eventually she died as well. And then I thought, okay, last phase, last totem. This is going to be really difficult. Interestingly, she destroys the last totem instantly. I don't know why that happened. Maybe I did a lot of damage very quickly. So after that happens, you pretty much just have to bring her down to 0 HP without dying. The arena at this point is non-existent, because the totem does still its thing and clockwise, and there's degen areas everywhere. So you pretty much have to run all the way, all the time, and evade everything. But eventually, if you bring her down, then there's this. And that's the end of the fight. So I hope you learned something. I hope you don't make the same mistakes that I made. Try to avoid everything that's green. Watch for the wave. Stand next to the totem. Bring a lot of regen. And a lot of damage. And I hope you can do this fight a lot better than me. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you in game.